Welcome to the Women's Motorsports Network podcast, the show that puts the spotlight on the incredible women who fuel the world of motorsports. From drivers to crew members, engineers to fans, and everyone in between, we're here to celebrate the trailblazers, dreamers, and doers shaping the sport we love. Each episode, we share inspiring stories of females of all ages from every corner of the motorsports universe, past, present, and future. It's a journey through the seasons of life filled with heartfelt moments, laughter, and a whole lot of horsepower. So whether you're a lifelong fan, a racer yourself, or simply curious about the extraordinary women behind the wheel, settle in, relax, and enjoy a fun and uplifting ride with us. This is the Women's Motorsports Network podcast, connecting and celebrating women in motorsports, one story at a time. Let's hit the track. Hello, everyone. This is Melinda Russell with the Women's Motorsports Network podcast. And my guest today is Kylie Glick. Kylie comes from the warmer area of the country while I'm experiencing a blizzard today. So I live in Michigan. Kylie lives in California, but we're able to talk to each other via StreamYard, which is like Zoom. And I love that we can do this because it really feels like you can get to know each other better. So Kylie, welcome to the show. Would you first start by sharing a little bit about yourself?
Of course. So I'm a 14-year-old female late model driver in the pro division on the West Coast for now. I run the Cars Tour Series. And so last year we were running the juniors. And then once I got turned 14 and was able to run the pros, I jumped straight to pros. I wanted to run with all the bigger guys. And even though we might not be in victory lane every weekend, I'm learning so much. So we thought it was the best decision. And I get to run side by side racing Derek Thorne and like all the really good legends in stock car racing. So that's a little bit about me. I'm homeschooled, so I get to go to the shop during the week and work on my cars hands-on and learn and be a better driver for my team. And I am able to have a job and work and get a little more money for a little bit more racing. And I do wrestling to stay in shape on the weekly. When I'm not racing, I do wrestling just to stay in shape and, get a lot of muscle because it really tones you up. I've definitely learned that this season. So I started doing wrestling in like June of last year. So I've been doing it for a little bit, like 6 months or so, and I've seen a lot of good progress and changes so far. And that's pretty much about me. We just moved to a new house out here on 20 acres. So I'll have a lot more things to do here and hopefully we can make like a little track or something, but we'll see.
That's exciting. I know you said you just spent your first night there. So
yeah,
that's really fun. I know it's a lot of work to move and put stuff away, but it's also a lot of fun to do that.
Yeah.
So you'll probably have to mow a lot more though if you got 20 acres.
Oh my goodness, yes. I've already done a few like over the summertime, I've already mowed the lawn a few times and it takes like almost 2 hours. Like it's crazy.
Yeah.
So I just sit on there and jam with my music and
there you go.
Get my tan on.
Yeah, exactly. Get your tan on. I grew up on a farm in West Central Illinois, and I was the youngest of 3 daughters. My sisters were 6 and 7 years older. My poor daddy didn't get the boy to take over the farm, but I did like to drive the tractor.
Yeah.
And so I was the same way. And I didn't want the one with the cab and the air conditioning. I wanted the old tractor. It was a red Farmall tractor, Kylie, and it had an umbrella if you wanted to put it up. But I didn't because I wanted to get a tan. And so I plowed and I used the disc and I learned how to drive the tractor. And I'm so thankful for that. What great memories of doing that on the farm. And so that was a lot of fun. But yeah, there's a lot of like caretaking when you have those acres, but there's nothing like having some land. So that's great. Now, do you have any siblings, Kylie?
I have a little brother, actually. He's 3 years younger than me.
Okay. So. All right. Yeah. And is he in racing too or not?
So he is actually the person that got me kind of into racing, but he didn't necessarily, he's better. He likes to come out and support me now. He doesn't necessarily race anymore.
Okay.
But yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. So, how did you get started in racing? Give me your story.
So I actually am the fourth generation in my family to race cars, but I didn't necessarily grow up around racing. I got into go-karts a little bit. Like my dad bought me a go-kart at 6, and we took it in his in a parking lot, and I did a few laps, and I hit a curve, and I decided I was done from there. I was like, no, thank you. I am good. Don't want to be in here no more. So we ended up selling all the racing stuff and everything. And I went full at the time when I got the go-kart, I was also starting soccer. And I love soccer. I did comp soccer all the way up till COVID time. And you couldn't necessarily do, I was goalie most like all of my soccer years. And you couldn't necessarily be goalie and do all that. They didn't like all the contact and everything during COVID. So they had to shut that down, and I necessarily couldn't be a goalie anymore. Like they would try to make me do all this other stuff. I'm like, I'm not really vibing with that. So my brother was starting to go out to the quarter midget track and started getting some laps in during COVID, just practicing because they didn't necessarily have any races then. Yeah. But you could go out there on like test days and test everything. And so I wasn't in school, so I was always going out to the track with them because I didn't want to be at home. I wanted to go out and do stuff. So I was always getting out to the track. And I'm like, you know what? Like, I want to try this. Like, this seems fun. Like, let me try this. So my dad let me get in my brother's car and did a few laps. And I was like, yes, I want to do this now. Like, so when they bought my brother's car, they had an extra car. So we decided to turn that one into my car. And we ended up buying, like, at the end of Cornwall, we ended up having like 6 or 7 carts. Like, we loved it. And so, but now I'm racing late models, and just because of my first race was in 2020, like October time. So we raced one time in 2020, and then we went into a full season in 2021. So from basically 2021, we have jumped to now, and it's been crazy. And like, because I started racing late models in the summer of 2023. So it's been a crazy fast time, but I enjoy like all of it because my my grandpa and like everybody raced like stock cars and everything, and I've always seen that stuff, and I'm like, you know what, like, so we've always driven by like the local track that races like the late models and stuff, and I was like, because that's where my grandpa drove and everything, and he lives like maybe 5 minutes away from the track, so I'd always drive by it, and I'd be like, I never knew I had no clue what that was. Like, because you couldn't necessarily see the track, you could just see like the barriers, and I was like, I have no clue what that is, but like it looks cool, like because you could see like checker flags and all that stuff that were hanging up, and but now we're here, and I'm racing there, and I'm a champion there, so it's crazy how time flies and everything. So yeah.
And it's funny how life is a circle.
Yeah, you know, I would never have thought I've been here.
No, that was not anything that was ever on your radar, even though you're you're young, but probably not even on your family's radar until it happened.
Exactly, because none of the boys in my family, like my cousins or anything, never had gotten into racing, and it was like huge that my little brother was getting into racing and stuff. So everybody would support him and everything, and so now I get to be carrying on the family legacy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's a great story. So your grandpa raced.
Yes.
Did your dad race?
My dad did not race. He's 6'7" and way too big for a car. So he did not race, but his cousin raced, and my grandpa's brother raced, and then their dad raced. So which is cool that my great grandpa raced at Roseville, my home track that I'm a champion at, when it was dirt. So it's crazy to see how it's like that track has so much history, and it's cool to like almost be a part of it. So
yeah, you are a part of it for sure.
Yeah.
Now, is it still dirt or is it asphalt?
It's asphalt now. Yeah. They've changed that track so much. But when he was racing like the 1950s, it was dirt, and then they switched it to asphalt, and then they've also made it way bigger. They like extended the track and everything. So you can tell like there's like a little crack coming out of turn 2 that you like, oh, that's where they connected. Like,
Uh-huh.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's cool.
that is cool. And how far do you have to drive to go there? Is it close?
Yeah, it's only about 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes from us. So it's literally in our backyard. And the shop is like maybe 10 minutes away from that. So, and we're only like 25 minutes with traffic to the shop. So everything right here is perfect. So I get to just go to the shop on the weekly basis and just get hands on and learn stuff. So,
And there's so many things you can learn.
yeah,
I of course I'm all about school, some
yeah,
kind of school. Don't get me wrong. But even like you go on vacation and you go somewhere where history actually happened, you're going to
yeah,
remember it so much better. And the same with you
yes.
as far as, you use math and science and
Mhm.
you're using your hands and there's all kinds of things that you're learning that you couldn't learn from a book. And I love books. I love to read, but I am a hands-on learner. So
Yeah,
I'm the kind of person, nah, I don't want to read about it. I want you to show me. And
I
so
agree.
you
Yeah.
can learn so much by doing that.
Definitely, yeah. I'm
Yeah.
definitely a hands-on learner just like you. I gotta do it to like I can watch it and stuff and be like, okay, I get the concept done. Let me go do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're going to remember it better too, as far
Yes.
as that goes. So let's start with marketing partners. Do you have, I'm sure, marketing partners that support you? I mean, if you're in the Cars tour, that's a lot of travel and things. So tell me first about them and how did you go about getting marketing partners?
Marketing partners. So on the marketing side, we do all of my marketing from the photos to posting to editing to all of it. The only really person that we maybe buy a few photos from the track photographers, but my mom does all of it from the photos outside the car to on the track. And we're lucky enough to have the owner of my team, actually his daughter is into like videography. So she helps me do all my videography. My mom helps her like do all of like her photos and everything. So it's like a win-win. So I get a videographer and a photo, like it's crazy. So she helps me get all the videos and then she sends them to me and I do all the edits and everything because I honestly love doing editing and all that stuff for videoing. Photos are one thing, but like I love being creative and everything with the video stuff. So even if I don't get to go to like NASCAR or anything, I want to be like a videographer for
Uh-huh.
a team or anything. So I think it's so cool, and I think it's like when I edit something super cool, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so proud of it.
And we're
um,
talking history, Kylie.
yeah,
That's history.
yeah,
And I love that you're creative. I'm a crafter, so I'm
yeah,
creative too, and a graphic designer, all those kinds of things. But you're also preserving history. You're preserving your story. So that's great. I love that.
yeah. Of course, yeah. We love it.
Yeah. So you said you're part of a team. Tell me about that.
So I'm on the NAIC Motorsports team, and they have launched so many amazing drivers from like Haley Deegan to Jesse Love to Tony Brettinger. And I know I'm saying her last name wrong. I can't.
It's
We
yeah,
yeah.
it's close. Breidinger, I think
Yes,
it is. But you know what? Everybody pronounces it different. Poor kid. Her name's
I
not Smith,
know.
and so she's probably used to it. But yeah,
But she's amazing. So my team has launched a lot of really cool, really big drivers, and so I'm excited to see where I can go and maybe follow in their footsteps. And they know they have certain goals set in place. Like, yes, we want to win, but we're also here to work on like let's qualify top 3. Let's do this. We're gonna just keep working at it. We're not here to win the $30 trophy. We're here to get better and not wreck our car and get better every race so we could race a lot more races and not
right.
worried about fixing a wrecked car.
Yeah.
And so they've been amazing. They've taught me so much. And I don't think I would be here without them, like come up in the world so fast because I have had such a change in like the past year and a half and everything from the first like half season that I did to the middle of last season. I had a major like flip. So um, and just seeing how like they're so like even when I'm at the shop, they'll slow down and teach me, and they're like, okay, this is how this is, and actually want me to learn and grow. They don't want to like keep me on their team and like keep me. They want us to like grow and like go to NASCAR and everything. So they want us to Um, they have like a bunch of connections and everything. So, I mean, he's probably the best team to be on the West Coast, one of the best. So, I'm really thankful that I'm able to be on this team. And my
So,
Tony spotter.
I love that what you said, they don't care about the $30 trophy. They want you to learn how to be a good driver, not wreck your car, not run into people, not run over people.
Yeah.
But they also want you to learn about the car. And you're a better driver if you know about your car, because you can tell them, oh, I'm loose, I'm tight. This is, I hear something doesn't sound right, whatever it might be. And
Exactly.
so very smart on their part to teach you that part too, because as you grow and move on in motorsports, that's just a benefit. I can remember Clint Boyer one time, somebody asked him a question about his car, and he says, I don't know. The only thing I know about the car is the steering wheel. So that's, and he probably was more right than we would like to think. But yeah, that's awesome. So when you're in the Cars Tour now, there's a lot of races on the east part of the country. So I'm assuming you travel. And
so
how does that work? Do you actually take the car, or somebody takes it? How does that all work?
So we're running the West Coast Cars Tour, which
Okay.
is this is going to be the second year of them doing it, and it's crazy. The first Cars Tour race here, I was able to pit next to Kevin Harvick, and it was crazy. We were literally like a pit over. So, were
you starstruck?
A little bit, yeah. Because I mean, we got to see like everything. Like it was so cool. Like his whole team, and he had a partner there, or his teammate was there too. So it was actually cool to see. But here on the West Coast, you are traveling from like Northern California to like Vegas, and it's not as far of a drive, like the tracks that they're doing. So that's pretty good. We are going to be running a lot more here, and hopefully make it out to the East Coast this year. I'm hoping to run a few East Coast races, because it's the world out there is so much crazier. It's bigger, and you're racing like 5 days a week, and I want to race every day of the week. Like, I cannot get enough of racing. Like, I want to, if I'm not at like the track racing, I want to be at my teammates' races and everything, because my team they run the TA2 Trans Am cars, which is like the road course cars. They do late models. They do like all the classes from junior to super. And they also do ARCA cars, West Coast racing for ARCA. So hopefully I'll make it to a few of those races, because I'll be able to turn 15 in June. So maybe after that I run a few races. But we'll see. I've been fortunate enough, even if I'm not racing, they'll be like, oh yeah, just hop in the van, let's go to the track. Like if it's like a 1-day show or anything. So, and I get to go out there and watch them and learn and everything. And I get to take out my camera and do videography for him and everything. So, yeah.
You can learn so much by paying attention.
Exactly.
You just got to pay attention, and especially if they're running a track maybe that you haven't run before, or you're going to run. You can watch their line. You can watch, all the things that people who watch racing and don't really know that much about it don't understand. They don't understand about all of that. But I didn't know the Cars Tour had a West Coast.
Yeah, actually, Kevin Harvick has been pumping it up. Him and Tim Huddleston and everybody.
Okay.
They've been pumping it up. So this season is supposed to be huge. I mean, Keelan and Kevin Harvick are going to be racing each other here at Kevin Harvick's Crane Raceway, which we got to race there in last month. So it was a really cool track. It was huge, very much banking, and very new to me, because I went from racing Madera and Roseville, which are a lot shorter, like smaller, much more flatter, to go into Kern, which is like way, like it's a bowl, like it's way more banked, and it's 2 times the size. It's like a half mile. So I learned a lot, and we ended up getting a top 10 in the finish. So that was not bad for us. Like we were like, okay, that's solid with a clean car. So we were like, I'll take it. We can roll the car into the trailer. That's a win for us.
I always used to tell my son raced, and then my granddaughters did, but I always used to tell my son, a successful night is when you can take the car home in one piece.
Exactly. That's exactly their motto. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's so much more important because you're not going to learn anything if the car's wrecked and it's in the trailer or the
Yeah.
hauler or whatever. So that's all good stuff. So Kylie, when you started racing, what was the most challenging thing you had to learn?
In the beginning of my racing, I was definitely like before like the few first races that I did, like in the very rookie stages, I was definitely a lot nervouser. Like I was really nervous, but then I've grown to learn that like it's just normal. Like you are nervous before you race and everything. So like nowadays, like I get super like nervous. I'm shaking before qualifying, but when the car turns on, like it's go time. Like let's do this. Like let's qualify. So that was mainly the biggest thing. Or when I've transferred from late or from quarter midgets to late models, like you have a whole new thing. You have to learn how to drive manual. You have to do a lot more braking, and the braking and gas is a lot more like sensitive, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
And you have all these buttons like brake fans and everything. And I'm like, I don't know how to do these. Like,
Yeah.
it's just like such a big jump and everything. So I learned a lot, but I think that was the main thing, like just to breathe and everything. But honestly, I don't nowadays like I want like it's good that I'm feeling nervous. I feel like because if you're not nervous and like you don't have anything to like you're not passionate enough about it. I guess you like
Yeah.
So
I agree with that. I think being nervous keeps you on your
mhm,
toes.
exactly, yeah.
If you're
So
kind of lackadaisical about ho hum, I'm going out on the track, one thing, you're right, you're not as passionate if that's your attitude. And the other thing is that, you know, things happen when you're like, I don't want to say careless, but when you're not as attentive to the
mhm,
doings. And I think that's important for you
yeah,
to be somewhat nervous, anyway, for sure. So, um, you've had a lot of success in a short time. Success doesn't always mean winning that $30 trophy. What
yeah,
do you
exactly.
think? Yeah, what do you think as far as your success? What would you say your success has been?
I've definitely one of like the biggest things that I've seen that like a lot of like our social media. That is like the biggest thing. Like everybody at the track is like, oh, what's she doing? Like, let's see what she's doing, or like, let's do that. So I think that's the main thing that we've grown and learned, and like we know what we're doing on the social media side just by me and my mom doing it and like putting in all the hours because we put in a lot of hours during the weeks, especially during
Mm-hmm.
racing season. We have a
Yeah.
lot more to post about. It kind of slows down in the racing off season, but now that it's starting up, we're going to be posting even more than we are. Because everyone, when we go to the track, it's always like, "Oh my God, that's you! Like I seen you on my For You page. Like, oh my God."
Mm-hmm.
Um, or it's super cool to hear that stuff. Like at Kern, we had one of the safety crew guys was like, "Oh my God, I just saw you on my Facebook feed. Like now that I see who you are, like."
Yeah.
Or yeah, so I think that's our main thing, like our biggest like accomplishment that a lot of the other drivers like are wanting. So um
Well, and like you said, it's a lot of work. I mean,
yeah,
just doing a podcast, it's a lot of work. You
yeah,
you
all
know,
the
and
editing and everything.
yeah,
Yeah,
and setting it all up and then doing it and
exactly.
adding to it, and so you don't think about maybe all that.
Mhm.
And people want to have all that social media exposure, but
Yeah,
they don't necessarily want to or have the time to do
yeah,
it.
exactly.
And
They
I remember like Haley Deegan was amazing when she was more active than she has been lately, but she was great about, we knew what she was doing all the time.
yeah,
And
all for
that's
YouTube videos and everything.
yeah, and that's how
Um,
people, they want to know who is Kylie Glick, not just as a race driver, but they want to know that you have a dog, or you like to go horseback riding, or you do whatever the things are you do. They want to know about you outside of the racing, and they feel like then they can relate to you better. You know,
exactly. Yeah.
yeah. Carson Hosevar is from my town, so I live in Kalamazoo. He's from Portage. They run together, so you don't know the difference. And I was talking to somebody the other day, and she happens to work at Spire, and And she said, "Oh, I just saw Carson. He was walking through here with an Applebee's bag." And I said, "Well, that's his favorite restaurant." And she said, "No, I didn't know that." And I said, "So, because his mom was so good about always posting that there's things we know about Carson other than him being a race car driver. And I happen to know he loves Applebee's. And if he had a choice, that's where he would go." So she laughed and she said, "Well, I'm going to say something to him the next time. He's going to wonder how I know that." But see, those are the things that people, they're interested in. And you might not think it's any big deal, but if people are following you and they like to watch you race, they want to know who you are, not just your race.
It's like social media. Like they want to follow along on the life, like, because not a lot of people get this experience, and this isn't normal. Like a normal teenager doesn't get to go homeschooled and do racing all the time and all these huge experiences and events that they get to go to and everything. That's not normal. So a lot of people want to follow along and see like, oh, that's super cool. Like I want to do that. Like that's amazing. Like even thinking to like back to me, like when I was racing quarter midgets and everything, and even now, like I'll watch Haley Deegan's videos. I'm like, that is so cool. Like I want to do what she's doing. Like that's my inspiration. And so I want to be like that to the littler group of girls and people in motorsports and everything, and even girls that aren't in motorsports. Like, just like I really want to start a YouTube page where that's even going to be more stuff. So I'm going to start posting more on YouTube, because even to like look back on, because I like to go back and watch Haley Deegan's videos. Like, oh, that's what she was doing. Like she was racing late models here and this stuff. So
YouTube's good. I have a YouTube page for the podcast, the videos like what we're doing today. But you could watch YouTube videos 24/7 and never see enough. And that's just the racing ones. There's just all kinds of cool stuff on there for sure. So Kylie, you're homeschooled, you work at the shop, you race, you're a busy girl. How do you manage taking care of yourself, getting good sleep, eating right? Do you have a routine? You said you do wrestling to stay in shape. Tell me about how you take care of yourself.
So it's the wrestling season doesn't necessarily during the peak of racing season, which is great. I can wrestle a little more, and so like this week I did wrestling. Yesterday I did school in the morning. All the things, and it's kind of hard to find rides everywhere, but we figured it out and everything. But or like I'll go to the shop on like certain days, and then afterwards I'll go to the gym, or I just figured it out, I guess. Or at the old house, I was able to ride my bike to the gym, so that way, like in the afternoon, maybe I could go to go homework or stuff, or like before school, like my Zoom calls or whatever on school, I can go to the gym or anything. So it kind of just depends on like the weekly basis, but definitely trying to eat healthier and keep my body fueled and toned and everything for the racing season, so that way we can maintain the same weight, because that's also like a huge thing in the racing thing, because once you find like a setup and everything, like the weight and the suit, even like a custom suit, like because I'm really toned right now, but I have to maintain that so my suit fits all season,
right?
So
there's a lot to do, and like you said, there's a lot to keep track of, and yet if you're organized, you figure it out. I'm sure your parents are a huge help where all that's concerned too. So everybody has a bad day at the track. I know you've had them.
Yes.
We won't go into that real big, but what do you do on a bad day?
Honestly, I think me and my spotter's motto is like even if it's a bad day, you're at the racetrack. Like it's gonna be a good day. Like you're at the track, you could be at home, and you couldn't even have this. Like you should be thankful that you have this lifestyle and you're able to have bad days racing cars. Like not everybody gets to do that, and like some people are in the hospital and their biggest dream is to even come to a race. So like I just like to stay positive and everything, even during like a race. Like if you got spun out with like 10 to go or anything and you're in the front, you still have time to like go to the front. Like you should never give up or anything, and always stay positive. And that's my main thing. Like even if it's a bad day, like you can go home and cry about it. Like we're at the track, like we're here to work and everything. Like it's a good day because you're at the track.
Yeah, that's so true. And we tend to take things for granted sometimes
Hmm.
of what we do have and what we are able to do and have exposure to or have access to. And we forget that, I asked you about the fires in California, thank goodness you were a long way away from that. But there could be
Exactly.
so many things so much worse than
Hmm.
what you and I have it. And so we have to be grateful and just like you said, if you're at the track, what better place could you be than at a racetrack?
Exactly.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
So on race day, do you have any kind of routine? Like I always wear the same shirt or the same socks. I always eat the same thing. I do this. What's your race day look like?
Definitely. I have like a whole thing.
Okay.
But I always like I can't eat like once like on my race. Like when I get my suit on and everything, like you won't see me eating until like 2 hours after the race. Like my belly, like the adrenaline and everything. So I have to go to like a sandwich spot and get like a turkey sandwich just with bread and turkey and mayo. Like it's literally so basic, but I just like a little bit something cold to eat before I race. Listen, there's a certain song that I have to listen to before qualifying that I literally like I don't know what it is, but it's been making me qualify super good. So it sounds funny, but like I'll qualify before I qualify. I always have like my phone like up to my ear, like listening to the
So
certain song and
do
everything.
you want to share what it is or are you superstitious?
I'm gonna gatekeep it.
Okay, that's fine. You gatekeep it. Okay.
um, but if it makes me qualify bad, then maybe I'll share it.
Okay.
Once
No.
the good luck like wears off, you
Yeah,
know.
that's not gonna happen. That song's gonna keep you motivated. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
for sure. Yeah.
so. Um, but that's mainly like, or I wear the same socks on race day. I've got a certain pair of socks. They're checkered and they're black and gray.
Hmm.
um, but that's about it, I guess. I guess race day it just depends. Like race day is it gets crazy on race day, but those are like the main things that I always do, no matter what, on race
Okay.
day. But yeah.
So what's your most favorite thing about being involved in motorsports?
There's so many things, but I feel like the biggest thing that I have noticed is like how many people have gotten to me and like how many like in quarter midgets even like my I have like second moms. Like they have like changed my life. Like I don't know what I would do without them. Like they're like some of my biggest supporters and everything. And even like friends that I've made along the way. Like pretty much I have all racing friends. Like they're all involved in motorsports. Like I have one best friend that I met that I've grown up with, but besides that, like the rest of them are like racing friends. So I think that's super cool. And I get to joke around with them. Like my spotter has been like, I don't know what I would do without him. Like he's only been spotting me for like about a year, but we have such like a deep connection. Like he just understands where I'm coming from and he's better. Like it's hard. It's bad to say, but like he works better with the girls because he only has daughters. And so he understands like, okay, this is like, I have to be patient with her. Like he knows like, and even on the social media side, he's like, all right, Kylie, you should be filming like this. Like, here's the angle you got to get, like when I'm working at the shop with him and everything. So he's like,
Do you want to share his name? Give him a shout out?
yeah, Tony Caputo. He's probably watching right now. Like um, or he'll be watching
He'll be
this. But
watching, yeah.
yes, definitely. Like he supports me. Like he'll text me during the week. Like, how is wrestling? Like, how's this? Like, he's the reason why I do wrestling. He's like, no, Kylie, like, because he wants me to be better. He wants me to grow and everything. Like, he's like, you got to do this to be better. Like, you have to do this and this. So I take his advice and like it's changed my life. Like I have gotten so much better since I've been wrestling and going to the shop and everything. And so, or even at the track, like he'll be like, I'll be like, all right, Tony, let me film this little TikTok. He's like, all right, perfect. Like, that's fine because he understands like the social media side is like, you have to be doing social media to make it in racing. So he's like, I would rather her take the 30 extra seconds to film her little TikTok. And then that makes her so much more money. Like making TikToks, like gets
Yeah.
her more racing money. So that means we get to go out and race more. So he is like the biggest game changer, because even if like I stopped racing now, like I would still be like having like a connection, like our families would still be going out to dinner and everything.
Mhm. So, a couple things that you said. He knows how to talk to girls because he's got daughters. So, you know, some people might think, well, what's the big deal? It
Yeah.
is a big deal because you don't you don't talk to girls the same way you talk to boys. And if that sounds, you know, prejudice or something, it is just the way it is, you
Yeah.
know. And I'm not going to say 100%, some, you
Yeah.
know, but overall. And so I can remember my son-in-law, um, my granddaughter was qualifying or whatever. She came in and she didn't have a very good qualifying, and I was in the pits, and he, you know, got right down in the window and to her, and she started to cry. And I took him by the arm and I said, you know what? When it stops being fun, then we're done.
Yeah.
And so, and he has an older son and two daughters. And so, you know, he knew, he was just frustrated because he knew she could do better, is really
Hmm.
what it was. And so, you know, we have to remember that girls usually have a little more sensitive feelings, and
Yeah.
they and that. And so I love hearing that he
Yeah.
really gets you, doesn't he?
He really understands me. Like, I'm not very sensitive, like a sensitive person. Like, honestly, like you can tell me like the most negative stuff. I'm like, oh, okay, thank you. Like, I don't take anything to heart or anything, and it's super funny. So, but he knows like if I'm like before qualifying or anything, right? Like when I have my helmet on, because he's already up in the spotter stand by the time. Like I'll have my pay crew guy strap me in and everything, but he's already like gone. So like when I'm about to qualify, he's already in my ear, like on my spotting, and he's like, all right, Kylie, like just keep calm. Like we have no reason, like you don't have to qualify first, like literally calming me down and everything. Like it like helps me almost. Like he's always like, you don't have to be top of the board. Like let's just go out there and race. Like we're not here to win. Like let's just go out there and qualify good. And then it's better than being like, oh, you have to get first. Like you have to do this. It's so much better because that takes like all the stress away. And then even if you do get bad qualifying, I guess like they're not gonna be like on you. Like it honestly helps me. Like it's like, and it makes me qualify better. I feel like taking away the pressure and everything, so I can just go out there and focus and everything. And I'm not worried like, oh, I have to do this. Like I have to do this, and then it gets in your head and messes you up. Like this,
Yeah.
just he knows how to like the tactics because he knows like if I do this, then that's gonna mess her up. Like so.
I
There's just
mean,
like certain things.
I hope that there's a lot of dads that listen to this, or
Yeah.
because a lot of times it's the dads helping the kid, you
Mhm.
know, the daughter or whatever. But even for dads of boys, you know, when you said I don't feel any, you know, he makes me feel like I don't have any pressure.
Yeah.
I think pressure makes, especially kids, because kids have to learn how to handle pressure. That's not
Exactly.
something that comes natural, and it shouldn't come natural to
Mhm.
a kid to have to handle pressure. But learning, if you hear somebody say, "Hey, we're just here to have fun. We're going to do the best we can.
Exactly.
Go out and do the best you can. We'll, you know, and we'll move on." And and stick with that. I mean, but honestly, it takes a very special personality
Mhm.
in racing, especially to have that kind of attitude.
Yeah.
You are so lucky.
Yes. And like you said, like I've seen so many like people in racing that I see like from afar and everything where like I'm in the spotters like in the regular stands where the spotters got to stand, and you can hear people just like go 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 go, like go go go, and that's not motivating. Like like you got to be patient and everything, because even like you said, like kids are still learning. Like they can mess up, but we're learning. Like if I mess up, he knows like, okay, that made her learn, like let's do better next time. And like he knows, and like at the shop I'll usually go like the following Monday, and he'll be like, we'll just have like a conversation. Like he'll be like, how was the car for you? Like how did I do on the car for you? Like did I mess anything up? Because I want to be better for you. And like I'll give him feedback, and then I'll be like, you know what, but I also did this, so I need to fix this for you. And so it's like a lot more open, and he's not gonna
Mhm.
get mad at me or anything. Like he'll be open with me, and he's not just like a male ego where he's like, oh
Yeah.
no, it's all you. Like you messed up the car and everything. So he knows, like, he's like, I messed this up for you, but I'm going to be better for you next time. That way I know how to do this.
So I'm amazed about him, because you just don't hear that very often. But how do you think I hear you talk about him and how you've changed. You're a better person, a different person from being involved in motorsports. Can you go into that just a little bit more? Like, what do you notice about yourself that if you hadn't been in motorsports would be different?
I feel like I'm a lot more like grateful, and my eyes have been opened so much, because like, even if I kept doing soccer, like, everybody could do soccer, but now that I'm in racing, where it's like only certain people are able to race, now I'm like, oh my gosh, like, there's so many people that like kids that like have the biggest dream, and they could have like the biggest talent and everything, but they like can't race at my level because of like money or sponsorships or anything. So it's made me like so much more grateful, I think, and just more professional, and like the way I talk and present myself and everything, I think. Because I mean, I wouldn't say that I'm like sound like a 14-year-old and like look and act like a 14-year-old. Like, if you caught me at the track, you wouldn't say I am in ninth grade or whatever. So I think that's the biggest thing that has changed even my mindset and everything. Just so much more to be like, you could have it so much more worse. Like, coming out here and having a bad day at the racetrack, like, you know how many people would dream to have a bad day at a racetrack? Like, so
and I noticed, and so when you told me you were 14, I thought you were older than that. And Kylie, I see this a lot in especially in girls who are very passionate about motorsports. I could pretty much tell from an interview how passionate somebody is, just because I've interviewed 400 people or more, and I can diagnose that right away. But I also noticed that girls who are involved in motorsports mature faster, because they've had to deal with challenges and bad days and racing against men. When you play soccer, you're playing against other girls your age. And when you're racing at the track, you're racing against Kevin Harvick, who's a champion, And so you tend to mature so much more at a younger age about not just racing, but about life things. So no, I am surprised that you're 14, because you definitely don't sound or look like you're 14. But that I think is a benefit that a lot of people don't understand, that's how that works. So do you think motorsports is a good sport for girls?
I love it. Like, I would recommend it to anybody. Like, even if you can't like physically race a car, like, you can go out there and like shake your hands, or like be taking photos, or being like, because we have another girl who's the track director and everything, who's also named Kylie, and she's a girl. And so to see her doing what she's doing, like, she is kicking butt. And so she's like doing all the cars tour races on the West Coast. She's doing the club races for like 3 other tracks. Like, she's doing all the dirt stuff for, like, she's doing a lot of stuff, and she's a single mom, and she's like kicking butt. So even if you aren't like, you're not able to race cars, you can still be in the motorsports world. And I would recommend it to anybody. Like, even if I don't get the chance to race a car, like in NASCAR, or make it my lifestyle, I want to still be around racing and still do something,
There's so many things you could do. And you already know you love the video and the social media and the photography. That's huge for especially NASCAR or NHRA or any of those, for sure. But there's also, if you like accounting, or if you want to be an engineer, or any of those things. And so there's so many opportunities and that's one thing I love about this sport, is that there's a lot of opportunities, and every race team, especially when you get to the bigger ones, it's a business. And so it's the same, they need the same kind of people that they need at other businesses, so so I love that part about it. So tell me a little bit about your car. We kind of skipped over that. What kind of car is it? What color is it? What number? All those things.
So I have a 602 crate motor in my Van Doren Racing late model chassis. The interior is all red, and which is funny because I used to be like at the beginning we had a neon yellow number and a all blue car, and then the next season came up and we ended up buying another car from that my team owned, but we ended up buying it for them, like another girl that raced on the team, and we ended up buying Holly Clark's old late model, it's a fast car. Like I'm so glad we bought it because I love that car. But the whole interior was red, and we're like, how are we gonna put a blue and neon number on a red interior car? Because you can't just change that, and it's not like you're gonna be going and wrecking the inside of your car to like rechange the panel. So we kind of had to change like my whole branding and everything, but I'm glad we are because I love red. Now I'm on like a red kick, and like I'm getting my nails red, and like all my clothes are now red and everything. I'm like, oh, these will look cute for the track, like these bright red shorts. Like, let me buy these. Like,
yeah.
So I race a late model, and it's 67, and which is cool because my great grandpa, when he started racing, he was 75, and so my grandpa's brother took 75 after him, and then my grandpa took 76 just because his brother took the family number. Mm-hmm. So and then when my brother started racing before me, he took my grandpa's number, and we're like, okay, well then what number do I take? So I ended up flipping 76 to make 67, which turned out better because now it's my birthday. I was born on June 7th, so it all ended up working out. I have like a family number that's also new, and like I'm making a branding for it, and it's also my number or my birthday, excuse me.
Yeah.
So it has like a lot of meaning behind it, but I'm glad that I chose 67. And also like my like lucky number was number 7. Like all growing up, like all my soccer jerseys had to have like a number 7. If it was just 7 or like 37 or something, like had to have 7 in it. So I'm glad that I have a 7 in my racing number too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny how we relate to a certain number. My number was always 5. I love 5s.
Yeah.
And 55 is my favorite number. I was born in 55. So I just don't know how old I am. But yeah. And then it's funny, isn't it, Kylie, that when you go places, you'll see that number. Like you'll see 67 somewhere, you know.
And you're like, I'm rooting for you. Don't worry.
Yeah. Or, you know, it could be on a street sign or whatever it is. And it's just funny how those numbers just, you notice them, you know, or license plates or whatever it is. It's just funny. Yeah.
I definitely agree with you. Like if I go to a track, I mean, I don't really see 67 on a lot of race cars, but if I see like if I go to like a track with my team or anything, I'm like, oh, 67, like I'm rooting for you. Don't worry. Like number 1 pin right here. And you don't even know who I am.
That's cool. So how about your fans? I know your family, of course, are fans, but do you have, like when you go, do they have autograph night or whatever? Do you have any little fans that come up to you or want to sit in the car or follow you?
Definitely. I mean, I have such a loyal fan base, even on social media. Like back east, like I have a bunch of followers that I've never met, and they have been like my biggest supporters from day one. So from social media, like online supporters to in-person supporters, it's crazy because we like, for example, like we went to Vegas for like the very first time. I had never been there. I had never seen the track before, like in person. And I was in the pits like on Friday night or something, and there's like these like I had 3 or 4 groups of people come over and like, oh my goodness, like I've seen you on social media, like can I get a photo? And I'm like, oh my gosh, like it's crazy to hear and like everything. Or like when I'm in like I always go out to the grandstands after every single race to sign hero cards, like hand autograph them, and even if it's like a 5,000 people crowd or whatever, I still go out there and everything. And I think it's cool, like to be one-on-one with them, because it'd be like you don't know what type of day they're having, and to be like one-on-one with them and like signing autographs for them, it could be like the biggest thing of their like year. Like it can make their day or anything. So I make sure to go out there after every single race and go and sign autographs for them and be hands-on with them and like be like, oh, like, because I mean I have Hot Wheels at my pits, so I'll be like, okay, like after the races are done, like come over to my pits, like and grab a Hot Wheel or anything, like come sit in the car, like. So we're literally like the last ones to pack up after every single race. It's so funny, but and then we have like lines of fans, like it's crazy, like, and we're like the only people in the pits to have them, like it's pretty cool to see. And I have a funny story. I'm actually like, so my first race at Roseville, we had, because everybody, they know my last name at Roseville because it's like I'm the fourth generation there, so like. But I was racing the pro race but I was only tagging the back because I was 13 at the time. So technically I shouldn't have been racing, but then we were like, we'll just be at the back. We just literally want like track time. Like we're not going to be up there racing with them. We're just going to be in the back, like tailing the end of the field. So they let us go out there. And again, my team was like, all right, we're just going out there. We're just making laps. This is just practice. Like we're not out there to race. So let's just go out there and everything. So on like restarts and everything, I would go back and I would like, I would like I would not start the race until like they started. So, and then I ended up having to pass a dude because he was just swerving, and it was just safer to be in front of him than behind them and everything. And he got so mad, he like took me out on like going to checker and everything, and like we almost like went head onto the wall, and we're like, what the heck? Like okay, like it was whatever. And so I pulled back, like after that, it was like checkered. So I like went back to the pits, like I pulled in, and my whole team was still like coming back from like the grandstands and like the pit row and everything. So like I was there alone at the pits, and I like get out of my car, whatever. And I was racing like a red car at the time. And that was like my first night racing there. And this dude, like the dude comes over and he's tall and he's like, what happened to your brakes, like all this stuff. And then he sees like the like 7 guys, like pit crew guys with like the Nake Motorsports on their chest, and he's like, oh, okay, like okay. And then later that night, like I had like a huge line of fans, like huge, like only person, like over 100 people came to the pits, and it was insane. Like I loved it, and I'm always friendly to people. I'm not gonna be rude or anything. So he comes back over, and I didn't recognize him or anything, and he was like out of his suit, and he's like, hi Kylie, like it's like I just wanted to introduce myself and everything, like everything. I'm like, oh hi, nice to meet you, I'm Kylie Glick, like. So
that's funny.
It was pretty funny. Like he's like, oh shoot, like
yeah.
So
you know, let me tell you why you have all those people in your pits. I can tell you without ever being at a race, because you are very successful at social media, which gets your name out there, gets your picture out there. It lets people know what you're doing. And let's face it, that's a huge, huge part of going forward, moving forward, and doing all the things that you want to do. And then you go to the grandstands, and who does that?
Like, yeah, you don't see that a lot.
No, you don't. Like the tracks I go to, you don't see that a lot. You don't see it at all, unless they come up and sit down with their family. But they don't walk through the grandstand and hand out cards or talk to little kids.
And me and my mom, she brings like a big basket, and we just go up and down every single row. Every single kid gets a sticker. So
yeah. And so you do that, and all these things that you're doing off the track is what is the reason you have 100 people coming to your pits at night. And people, I don't care how old you are, everybody listening, you need to follow what Kylie and her mom are doing, because this is what gets you exposure. This is what will get you new sponsors, new marketing partners. You know, you hand an autograph card to a little girl, she takes it home, and her grandpa owns a big car dealership. You don't know who you're handing those to.
Exactly.
And it only takes 1 or 2, and that's not why you do it, but that could be the result of what happens after you do it. And so
it never hurts to go out there.
It's only a benefit to do all of that. Yeah.
And then like the track sees like the owner and everything, and you get like, that's helped me so much, because out of all the people he could have, like there was a race, and one of the interviewers, like they had the news out there, and like out of all the people they chose in the pits, they were able to choose me because I was able to really talk about the track and everything and be on camera, which has also helped me. Like I've been on the news, like I couldn't even count, like over 20 times in the past year. Like the news has like reached out to us. Like it's been crazy. Like they'll come out to the local track, and like at the first season at Roseville, I had brought out the news every single race that I was at. It was so funny. They're like, again? I was like, yep, again.
Yeah.
So,
well, but let me tell you, from the interviewer's point of view, you are very mature. You know what you're talking about. You can articulate what you want to say. I don't have to pull the answers out of you. And that's what interviewers want, are people like you to interview, because it makes my job so much easier. I can sit and just listen. And probably about a third of the people I interview are similar to how you are, where I can just kind of say, hey, tell me your story. And you do. But this is going to be a podcast that a lot of people need to listen to, because a lot of the things that you're doing to make yourself known and successful with the media, the social media, etc., also makes you successful on the track. Because of the confidence. You have a lot of confidence about yourself, your racing, your car, and it shows. And the more you do that, the more people want to be a part of your following, your community.
Definitely. And I've seen that personally. Like, confidence is key, and I cannot stress that enough. That is the biggest thing that I tell people. Like, they'll have little girls like DM me and everything. I'm like, literally just be confident. Go up to people and shake your hand. Like, literally just be talkative, because you never know whose hand you're shaking, and you don't want to burn any bridges. That can be so terrible, because even if you don't see them now, you're going to see them again in 2 years, because the people in the racing world are so, like, it's a tiny world. So that's like the biggest thing, that confidence. And I have seen that also in the pits and everything, because if you're shy and like you don't want to talk to people, like that's how you don't, like, social media is a huge thing, and you have to be confident out there and like unique and everything. So that's like, of course I'm gonna show up to a lot of the people at the track know me. Like I'll bring like my Stanley to the track, my hot pink Stanley, and I'll do this, or I'm always like on the track. Like they'll see me walking down like pit row, like taking photos or videos, or they'll give me crap. They'll be like, oh, like I've seen your post like 5 times today. I'm like, yep, thank you. I'll post again later. Don't worry.
Like, but people, they love it. They actually love it.
Yes,
or they wouldn't say that. Yeah.
Or they're jealous or anything. So
yeah.
Or not jealous, but like
they're like, oh, dang, I wish I could do what she does.
Exactly. So,
and that's not really jealousy. That's just like, she's really got it together, and I don't have time. And a lot of people don't have time. Let's give them a break. They work, they have a family. It is hard because it does take a lot of time. But you're lucky that you are in the situation with the homeschooling and everything, that you and your mom do have the time. And so that really helps. And like I said, this is a good lesson for a lot of people to listen to, that these are the things off the track that make you successful on the track.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Kylie, what have we not talked about? I could just sit and talk to you all afternoon, but I know we can't.
Honestly, this has been a great interview. I've had some pretty interesting interviews, and this one's been amazing.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that. So
it's way professional.
What else can we talk about or share that we haven't talked about yet?
Well, I feel like we definitely have covered basic overall the topics, like social media and shop time and on the track and everything. I don't think I have anything else to topics to necessarily go over, but if you have anything in mind, yeah.
No, I mean, that's pretty much, I feel like we've covered a lot, and I really appreciate that you took the time today to do this with me, because I love sharing stories. And I think you're probably number like 340 podcasts that I've recorded. And since the 1st of January, I've recorded almost 60.
Holy
Because
cow.
my goal for 2025 was to ramp up the podcast and share as many stories as I could. And the thing is, a lot of the stories might be similar, but they're all different. There is no one story the same as the story before.
Exactly.
Yeah,
No one
yeah,
has
your
the same.
dad got you interested, or your whoever.
Yeah.
Those might be similar, but your story is not the same as everybody else. And so yeah, I absolutely love, I did an online magazine since 2017, and then in this last year I had a few health issues and I just didn't get it, didn't keep going with it. And I just decided, you know what, I can tell so much better stories by interviewing someone, because it's in your words,
Exactly.
rather than me trying to write it and all that for the online magazine. So I've kind of given that part of it up, and I'm sharing through a blog instead, which a lot of people like to read the story. So I share, the blog,
Yeah.
but I love sharing them, and especially with young girls like you who are so passionate, and it just oozes from you, Kylie, in a good way.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. And that's like such a big compliment too. Like I love being told that I'm passionate and everything, because that's like my main thing. Like I just want to be racing and everything. So
Yeah.
anything I can do to be racing, like I will do anything.
Yeah.
So to make me a better driver, even like that,
Yeah.
I
Well,
did not see my future being wrestling, but you know what? It's helping me race, so that's why I'm
right.
doing it.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure. So I'm hoping you come east to
of
race,
course. Yeah,
because even though I live in Michigan, it's a lot closer for me to
yeah,
go that direction to
yeah.
watch than to come to California. But do you ever go to Arizona to race at all?
We actually Havasu just
Oh yeah.
raced last weekend. I did not go, unfortunately, but
Okay.
um, there should be another race there in Tucson. So,
Okay.
but there is definitely, I might be racing Phoenix or something. So
Okay.
hopefully,
My youngest two daughters live in Phoenix.
oh,
So that's
perfect.
the one place I go west. I go
Yeah.
there to visit.
No, Phoenix, the NASCAR track is so beautiful. Like it
Oh,
is the most cleanest like
it is.
track. Like you don't see trash anywhere. Like
Mm-mm.
they keep their track really clean. And like when I had the experience to go there, and when I was racing quarter midgets, we were able to do. There was a race at Phoenix, and they set up a track inside the track, and I was able to do like 4 laps with my little car on the big track. Like
Uh-huh.
it was an experience I will never forget. Like it
Yeah.
was, and they gave out like super cool trophies and everything, and I was able to win one of the races. Like so, it was like a Cactus Cup champion or
Yeah.
something. I don't know. It was super cool though, and there was super good photo opportunities. Like they had like the big on the flag stand, the big cactus was lit
Uh-huh.
up and everything. So
Yeah.
it's a
That's
beautiful
probably,
track.
I haven't been to every NASCAR track, but that is my goal. But
Yeah,
I've been to Phoenix a lot because it's a good excuse to go visit my daughters in March and November if I don't go more than that. And
yeah,
I've got 6 grandkids out there. So I I like to try to combine the race with the visits. And so I've been to that track enough that I really know where everything is, and I like that. I feel comfortable going there. But yeah, but I'd love to come and watch you and meet you in person. So
of course. Yeah.
I'm gonna, I've been following you anyway, but I'm gonna continue to follow
Oh,
you. And
thank you.
my Facebook got hacked yesterday, so
Oh,
I have spent yesterday and today trying to
yeah.
recover, and I gave up and I started from scratch. So we're
Good
going to
luck.
start over and hopefully get some of that. But the good thing is I have over 6,000 email addresses of people,
Yeah.
and I can stay in touch with you that way if I can't find you on Facebook. But
Of
I want
course.
you to just
Yeah.
have, I want you to have the best time this summer racing, and And right there next to Kevin and Keelan, who's going to be a good little race car driver for sure.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
Yeah.
It's going to be a blast.
It's going to be a blast. So I'm going to find where I can catch the cars races, maybe on Flow or somewhere. And
Of course.
I'll be
Definitely Flow racing.
I'll be cheering for you for sure, Kylie.
Well, thank you so much.
All
and
right.
hopefully I'll be able to come back soon, like towards like the end of the season where I have a lot more to talk to.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to schedule. We're going to schedule for the end of the season to see how things went.
Exactly.
Right. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Well, thank you for interviewing me. It was a blast. I honestly cannot explain to you. This was like one of my favorite interviews that I've had.
Oh, you made my day. Thank you so much.
No, yeah, it was a blast because some of the interviews I've had are not very professional. So this one, it was easy flowing conversation and everything. So I'm very glad.
We're not the podcast that spends hours editing or any of that, because I want it to be authentic. And like I said, if the dog barks, or one time the cat jumped on the piano keys of the lady that I was interviewing, and I said, I don't care, we're just going to keep going, and
it'll get people to laugh. Yeah,
it's just fun, and so that's how I want it to be. So yeah. Well, you hang on. I'm going to end the recording and then we'll close it out. Thanks, Kylie.
Yeah, thank you.
That's it for this episode of the Women's Motorsports Network podcast. We hope you've been inspired by the stories I shared today and feel more connected to the amazing community of women in motorsports. Remember, whether you're behind the wheel, in the pits, or cheering from the stands, your story matters. And together, we're driving change and celebrating every milestone. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with someone who loves motorsports as much as you do. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram for updates, behind-the-scenes content, and more incredible stories. So until next time, stay inspired, stay connected, and keep racing through life. This is the Women's Motorsports Network podcast, where every woman's story is worth celebrating.